Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and a very happy new year. This is Nivarti Jairam, and today I'm going to talk about the revised Agile Manifesto and the principles. So, before we start, let me try and establish the why first. Why I think this is required at this point in time. So, initially when Agile actually started it, so the focus was more on delivering software iteratively, incrementally, and faster. But since then, I think over the past 2 decades, Agile essentially has grown and evolved to be adopted by industries or businesses which are much beyond IT or much beyond software development. And that is point number one. And point number two is also the fact that initially when Agile started, it was more at team level. The focus was helping the teams deliver software incrementally. But with the scaled agile frameworks, the enterprise agility, business agility frameworks coming through, I think the agile that we look the agility that we look for is again much beyond teams right at the enterprise level. So with those two elements coming through, I think there is a need to relook at making the manifesto more broader, to be able to meet the needs of diverse industries and also include more than just what we look at from a team perspective. So that is something I'm looking to attempt from my point of view, looking at what I have learned, you know, from last few years. So let me try and share what I think from my point of view, the new manifesto and principles should look like. And when I'm presenting this, I've not tried to change the things in the right on the right in the manifesto. So let me try and share my screen when I'm talking about this. Oops. Okay. Give me a minute. I'm trying to get the things right. Yes. So when I look at this, I'm I've just kept the things on the right still the same because I think there is still a lot of prominence given to those items even today. So from that point of view, I think still those are required to be emphasized as something which probably should not be primarily focused on. So one of the first principles that I'm looking at is engage teams and co-created objectives over processes and tools. The initial manifesto talks about individuals and interactions. As I said, the focus was more on team level agility at that point of time. And now that we have moved from teams, of course, team level agility is important and it contributes to the overall enterprise agility or business agility, whatever you want to refer to as. But when you think about enterprise agility or business agility, you are looking at more teams that are made of individuals. Organizations are made of teams. So, how you look at creating more teams that are engaged and teams are formed through individuals, so how you are creating those high performing teams or high value delivering teams and keep them engaged for the organization to continuously evolve. And that can happen when you co-create objectives with these teams. So we are talking about both the top down and bottom up approaches for creating objectives so that it becomes not just a shared objective but it is more co-created, and that also creates engagement in teams and all the people in the organization. So the first change that I think is required is moving from individuals and interactions to more towards teams and co-creating the objectives over the processes and tools. So that is the first one. Second, the original manifesto talks about working software over comprehensive documentation, right? So here, since we are moving or looking to make it more broader, not just constrained to software development, it's more about value delivery. It could be value delivery is more generic term which can be looked at by any particular business domain, not just constrained to software development or IT. So that is where the second principle, I thought of changing it from working software to value delivery over comprehensive documentation. That is something, is a change that I'm trying to bring in. The third one is about customer partnership. Now collaboration and partnership are two different things. When you are collaborating, it is more customer oriented value delivery. When you are partnering, it is more customer driven. So how you can move from, and there is a need to move from being customer oriented to customer driven. And that is why the third principle, I think, should be more about customer partnership over contract negotiation. The fourth one we were looking at originally is responding to change over following a plan. Now responding to change in today's world, the disruption is, the disruption cycle is becoming much more faster and faster. Means the disruptions that we are facing are becoming more frequent. So responding to change is more looking at as if we are still trying to react to that change faster. That means we are getting disrupted, and how fast we can recover from that disruption is what we are looking at traditionally. So instead of being disrupted, can we become the disruptors? So preempting the change over following plan could be more where you are looking at the trends, where you are looking at where the next disruption might come through, right? So and you can then think about how you manage that disruption, or even look at the market requirements or the problems that we are looking to solve, and probably come up with more disruptive ideas to make the best of uh, the market opportunities that are available. So that is where I think responding to change probably will need to change to preempting the change over following a plan. And last but not the least, and this is something I think which is required as we are moving more towards business agility and enterprise agility, which is focused on leadership. Because when you are talking about agility at an enterprise level or agility at an organization level, then you need leadership participation, leadership engagement for the organizations to become agile or be agile. So, from that point of view, if you want that to happen, if you want to accomplish business agility, you want to accomplish agility at an enterprise level, you need to have leadership at all levels. And that is what we are talking about as distributed leadership. Can leadership be not restricted to a hierarchy? Can we have leadership at every layer within the organization so that the decisions are made where the information resides, where the maximum information for making that decision resides? Of course, there are things that are required to be done to develop that leadership actively by the existing leadership community in the organization, but the focus should be on building leadership at all levels over following the hierarchical authority. This is something I believe should be added to the manifesto to make it more holistic, to cover all aspects that are required to be looked at when we want to accomplish business agility or enterprise agility, however you want to refer it to be, right? So that is something I thought could be a change that can be proposed from a revised manifesto perspective. Do let me know your comments or your views. This is something I'm sharing it firsthand, so I would love to hear from you. What do you think can be different, or what needs to be changed from this particular proposition, right? So that is number one. Next, moving over to the principles part, let's look at what we are looking at from a principles perspective. Again, there are some changes. I have not changed everything that is there, trying to change or customize what was originally there, correct? So from that point of view, our highest priority still remains, right? The principle still remains the same, but instead of working software, delivery of working software, we are talking about delivery of customer value. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customers through early and continuous delivery of customer value. Again, in the first three principles you are looking at, what I have changed is more removed or replaced the customer value over working software, so that it becomes more holistic, right? So that is something. Then again, as someone is commenting, I'm not able to see the name here. So value delivery is absolutely more critical than working software, absolutely right. So that is what is the change brought in the first three principles. Then business people, delivery teams, and support functions must work together daily across enterprise, focusing on consistent delivery of customer value. Because we are talking about business agility, because we are talking about agility at an enterprise level, we need to involve and collaborate not just between the technology or the development or the delivery teams and the business teams, but we also need the enablement functions which are required for us, to be agile. So that is where bringing in the support functions also into the daily conversations, whether it be compliance, whether it could be uh, regulatory, or whether it could be even the HR or the vendor management teams, where you need them to contribute and be part of the value chain that we are trying to take care of. I think that is something which needs to be brought in as well. So I have added support functions into this principle, not just focusing on the delivery and the business people. So collaboration needs to happen on a daily basis, not just between business and delivery, but it's also including the enablement functions or the support functions. The next one is, as the manifesto has been changed more to cater for uh, not just IT but beyond IT, and not just individuals. When we are talking about agile at an enterprise level, we need all highly engaged teams to be operating. If you have 100 people in the organization individually excelling, it does not mean the organization will excel. It's all about teams. So if you think about a football team, right? 10, 11 good football players or high class football players operating individually may not be able to win a World Cup for the country, but probably 11 players who are good enough but are more collaborative, working as a team, might probably bring the cup home, right? That is the differentiation. So teams are to be more focused on, and that is where the principle have changed to building organizations around highly engaged teams and make them autonomous, make them self-managing by enabling and equipping them. And this is where the distributed leadership comes into play. So when you are building those teams, you also need to build the leadership capabilities in those teams as well, so that they are autonomous, they understand how to make the right decisions. They need to develop that ability to connect their deliverables to the organizational strategies, the organizational vision, and how it contributes to that, so that they understand the impact of the decisions they are making. And only then they will be able to understand whether they are making the right decision. So that needs to be coached, mentored, or supported, or facilitated by the existing leadership community in the organization. So this principle is more around building autonomous self-managed teams which are highly engaged and focused on high value delivery for the customers. That is what this principle is referring to. Next, the most efficient and effective method of defining strategies and objectives for and within an enterprise is through synergizing top down and bottom up. More often than not, we see the objectives or the strategies coming from top down, but we also need to understand that today, with all the technologies and the expertise that is coming through, there would be more contributions or more vision, better vision coming through from the expertise within the teams as well. So for us to be efficient or more agile at an enterprise level, we need to co-create objectives. Correct? So if you want to really co-create objectives, then you need to define strategies and objectives more, synergizing the inputs from top down and bottom up collectively, and then try to see what could be the objective that we want to arrive at. So co-creation can be possible when you are synergizing the thoughts that are coming from the bottommost layer right up to the top. So that is what this principle is referring to. Correct? Yeah, that is something which we are looking at. And code of conduct is key for each level to achieve the principle. Absolutely right. I think code of conduct and integrity are some things which we can definitely not compromise on. So those are the first six principles. And as I said, the focus that I try to bring in is how to move from the focus from just team level to more up to the enterprise level. And for that to happen, what principles need to come in, and how can it be industry agnostic, not specifically focused on the IT, which was the case earlier. So those are the first six principles. Now moving on to the next set of six principles that we are focusing on. Again, as I said, working software was the primary measure of progress, and I think that needs to change from working software to customer value delivered. Are we delivering customer value at every iteration, or every sprint, or every program increment, whatever you are looking at from a duration perspective? So look at customer value always. Then next principle remains same. I think that we always look at maintaining the pace of delivery, or the velocity that we have consistent, right, indefinitely. So sustaining the pace of delivery is something which is critical, and that is what this principle talks about. Next, continuous attention to technical excellence, good design, and what I have added here again is leadership at all levels enhances agility. If you are looking at an enterprise level agility, achieving business agility, this I think is key again. And with that focus, I've added this particular element of building leadership, and it aligns to the distributed leadership I have added in the manifesto. And the next one, which this again talks about partnering with customers, right? Rather than collaborating with customers, can you give the customers a seat at the table in the organization? for them to contribute to the organizational strategy. How can you do that? The better you are, the more you are able to do that, I think the more value you would deliver for the customers, because you are trying to really understand their needs right from them. So that will help us move from customer oriented approach to more customer defined approach as an organization. That is the change that I have brought in here as compared to what it was earlier, right? So this principle has been completely changed. Now the next one, this again a small change in this principle. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more preemptive and then tunes and enhances its analytical skills and creative thinking accordingly. For us to be able to more preempting the change, we need to better analyze the trends, better analyze the situations, better analyze the customers, their behaviors, or better analyze how the industry is progressing towards, right? So and you need creative thought process for us to be able to come out with more disruptive ideas to make advantage of the market opportunities. So from that point of view, this again has been changed more from responding to a change to preempting the change. So those are the major changes that I thought could be brought in for the manifesto and principles to be more industry agnostic than what we currently have. It would be great to hear your views or your comments, and what you make out of this proposal. It would be really interesting to know. These are my thoughts. As I said, this is the first time I'm sharing this idea, and I'm looking forward to hear these inputs. And we are trying to put this on a web page and collect more inputs, comments, and feedback on this proposal to make it more relevant to everyone across the industries. So I really believe you got something new from what we have so far, and it hopefully it makes sense. I hope you all like the discussion so far. And for the community, again, what we are doing is from tomorrow, that is Friday, we are launching a Agile Coaching Cafe, which the intent of the Coaching Cafe is to provide a platform for all the Agile coaches, the Scrum Masters, whatever role you might be playing. If you are interested in working on your coaching skills and trying to be better, I think that is the place to be. So if you are keen, join us tomorrow, 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, of course, for our coaching cafe, where we are looking to create an environment for running triads. If you are familiar with coaching, you would know what triads is. Means we will have three people in each group, wherein one would be coach and the other would be coachee, of course, and there would be an observer. And then we rotate the roles so that everybody gets the opportunity to play different roles, and you get the feedback from everybody in that particular group. And we're also thinking about bringing in some professional coaches who can come in and do the demos as well, so that we understand there are better ways of coaching people, and then embrace that to be better. So that is the intent of coaching cafes, and we are starting that from tomorrow. I hope you like the overall discussion that we had today, and I would love to hear your comments, your feedback on the manifesto and the change in principles that I try to bring in. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you back soon. Good night.